Happy New Year, guys. Hope you're doing great. So, today we're going to study Exodus 1 to 3. Okay, so basically, it's just to run through it. If you have the time to read it, maybe you can comment later. We see that chapter 1 begins with the genealogy of Israel, that's Jacob, with his 12 tribes, that's his sons, and Joseph was not mentioned, because he was already in Egypt. So it mentioned that they all moved to Egypt, and then eventually they all died. Joseph died with his generation, but that did not hinder the Israelites from growing in Egypt. So they kept growing and multiplying, and God was blessing them. They were fruitful. So the king of Egypt now became like worried. I'm like, oh my God, these people are really mighty and they're increasing day by day. They should not subdue us. They should not overpower us. So what do? We'll deal with them shrewdly. That's what Exodus says in chapter 1. We'll deal with them shrewdly. What did he now do next? He decided to make them slaves. So he turned them into slaves, gave them manual labor, tough jobs to do, so that they're so occupied that they don't keep multiplying, maybe keep having children. Started building the cities and started doing top jobs and all of that. So kind of he wanted to take their attention from multiplying, forgetting that the hand of God is upon them. So even after he gave them the manual labor, they were still growing. God was still blessing him. Why? Because of the covenant he had with their fathers, Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob, in Genesis. Okay, so we studied Genesis last month. So we see that as they kept growing, he had to now, the thing got him so worried that he now had to meet the Hebrew midwives that attended to the Hebrew women at childbirth, and told them that anyone who gives birth to a boy, they should kill the boy and keep the girls. Then the midwives, of course, they feared the Lord and they could not do that. So they did not heed to the bidding of the king, and they left the boys to live, and they kept multiplying. And when he found out, he was really upset, and he gave the instruction that they should all be casted into the Nile. They should kill all the male child, but they should leave the female child. So that was not enough. He was just so threatened. You remember in Matthew, we read Matthew as well in January last month. In Matthew, we see that when Herod heard of the born king, which is Jesus, he became threatened and he killed all the children, male child 2 years and below. So they were all threatened that their throne is it that they did not even think that they will ever die? Like, why were they threatened? Obviously, I can understand Egypt, because Israelites, that was not originally their land. So because of Joseph, they moved to Egypt. So I can understand that. So it was as though that the Israelites were multiplying so much so that they were going to take away the kingdom from them. So from there we see that Moses' mother Jochebed, her name wasn't mentioned anyway, gave birth to Moses and asked this elder sister to go drop the child by the riverbank, strategically by where Pharaoh's daughter was having a bath. And then she saw the baby, she had pity, and requested that a Hebrew woman come raise the child to a certain age, and she raised him and returned the child to the palace. So when he grew up, of course, he's a prince of Egypt because he was adopted by Pharaoh's daughter, as well as a Hebrew. So you can imagine that when something came up, he had to kill an Egyptian. So it means that his original blood wasn't Egypt, and he knew that. And I'm thinking that maybe while he was being raised by the mom, maybe some of the Christian values or Hebrew values were instilled in him. That's what I think. But all the same, he killed an Egyptian. And then he didn't know that they saw him. He thought that no one saw him. So he encountered someone else, and person said, "You want to kill me like the previous person you killed me?" And then he was now afraid. By then he knew that Pharaoh would have known about this, and he fled for his life. So he fled to the land of Midian, where he met the daughters of Jethro, and So he helped them, deliver them from the shepherd that was bullying them, fed their sheep water, and they came back early. And father was like, "Oh wow, real? This one you guys came back early. What happened?" And it's like, "Oh, there's a man that saved us." I said, "Where is the man?" So he brought him into his home. He gave him food and also gave him his daughter Zipporah, and they had a child. Now the people of Israel were now complaining because the slavery was too much, the manual labor was too much. They were suffering. They were not eating as much. They were no longer enjoying. Of course, Joseph wasn't there again, so things became tough for them. So they began to cry out to God, and God heard them. So now Joseph was now rearing the sheep and went into the wilderness, and God met him there and said, "Moses, Moses," and he said, "Lord, speak, I hear you." And then he said, "Take off your sandals, for this is a holy ground." So he saw the bush burning, which was not really consuming the leaf, so he was like surprised. So already he had a background. So from that incident, you can see that he already had a background. He knew who God was from his background, maybe upbringing when he was a child. The mom raised him that way. So after that, God now told him, "Oh, I'm going to deliver. You're going to help me deliver. I've heard the cry of my people. You're going to help me deliver. I'm going to work with you to deliver them out of there and bring them to the land of milk and honey." And the guy is like, "Who I be? Who am I that you are sending me?" Like, 40 years he's been in rearing sheep, so he has even forgotten that he was a prince of Egypt. He has even forgotten who he was. And God did not even reply to tell him, "Oh, you are the prince of Egypt, you're this." No, what God did was tell him, "I will certainly be with you." That's what God told him. "I will certainly be with you." So God now said, "Okay, God, okay, if you say I should go, now you said I should meet our elders and tell them the God of your fathers, Abraham, Jacob, Isaac, and all of that. Okay, so who will I say that sent me?" And God now told him, "I am who I am." Like, that struck me immediately. I'm like, wow. So there's no equivalent. There's nothing equal to God. God is equal to God. Like, if you're putting the equal sign, God is just equal to himself. There's nothing can be compared with him. So he said, go and talk to your elders and tell them this is what God has said, and this is God of your fathers, and go there. But let me tell you something. Pharaoh is not going to let you go that easily. It's not going to let my people go that easily. So just get ready, because it's not going to be easy. I'm going to send a lot of signs. I'm going to do a lot of things, but just know that he's not going to let you go easily. But I'm going to send you. So you have to go. And of course, Moses, we're going to see, like, of course, that happened. So we're going to see the rest of the chapters. So tell me, did you study? Did you learn anything? If you study, please share what you learned, or if you have any question, please go ahead and share. Thank you for watching, and have a lovely evening. Bye.